We are doing a Q&A tonight. So feel free to, if you've got questions, put them in. We've got a couple questions that came in on our Discord that we will go over. But yeah, kind of Q&A and just like chatting and hanging. So
looks like Melinda has a question. How are the hotels at Disneyland compared to Disney World?
Thank you, Melinda.
Well, there's a lot less of them if you're talking official Disney hotels. We did a couple episodes of this of Mom Street on our podcast and our YouTube if you want to go hear like details about all of the Disneyland and Disney World hotels. But just in a nutshell, there's only 3 official Disneyland hotels. There's the Disneyland Hotel, what's now like the Pixar Hotel. I can't remember the new name of it. It used to be Paradise Pier. And then there's the Grand Californian. So those are the only 3 that are at Disneyland, and I can't afford any of them. So
because they're all in that deluxe range.
Yes, they're all very expensive. So I stay off property at Disneyland and like a renovated 1950 style hotel, and it's great. It's in my budget.
It's your vibe. It's your vibe. Like,
yes.
Let's hop into a couple questions. So those of you that put questions on Discord, we've hopefully got some insight and answers for you. Thank you, Maria. So the first question that we had on Discord was from our friend Chris. And he asked, and this was a very detailed one, he asked, best all-around ADR in Magic Kingdom for lunch or dinner for picky eaters.
Wait,
so that was, I know.
Okay. I was like,
wait. ADR, if anyone doesn't know what that stands for, it stands for Advanced Dining Reservation, which would basically mean your table service restaurants at Magic Kingdom. So he wants to know the best one for lunch or dinner for picky eaters. So I've got some info. I'm just going to run down the list of options first in Magic Kingdom. So let's start there. So there's quite a few. So your list of ADR options in MK are Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal Table, Crystal Palace, Diamond Horseshoe, Skipper Canteen, Liberty Tree Tavern, the Plaza Restaurant, and Tony's Town Square.
Yeah, there's more than 4 of them. There's like 4 of them we'll eat at, is what he's saying.
Yes. So those are all of your options if you're looking for a dining reservation visiting Magic Kingdom. Now, let's talk about a couple different things that I look at, because for me, I feel like best all around also somewhat has to do with not only just options of what they have, but what price point you're looking at as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about the top 3 on that list, which are Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal Table, and Crystal Palace. All 3 of those are your character dining options. So if you are wanting a character dining option, those are the 3 that you're going to want to look at. If you're doing Be Our Guest, you get the Beast walking around in the castle. If you are doing Cinderella's Royal Table, you get princesses. And if you are doing Crystal Palace, you get Winnie the Pooh and friends. So options there that you have. Be Our Guest for, now I'm talking kids. Because I guess I kind of assumed that kids is what we were speaking about when it comes to this.
Yeah.
But for...
I mean, there's adult picky eaters too.
Very true.
So.
But these are kid... prices. Yes, Lem, it's not really a true like meet and greet with the Beast at Be Our Guest, but you like get to see him, so depending.
Yeah.
But Be Our Guest,
he does a lot of bowing.
Yes. So Be Our Guest is going to run you $39. It is a lot, yes. So they do have, and it will run you $67 for adults if you're looking at price points. It is more of a prefix menu with several different choices. For kiddos, you're looking at these options. You're looking at a pan-seared chicken breast, pan-seared shrimp, house-made mac and cheese, a grilled beef tenderloin, and chicken strips.
There's a pretty good variety there though, and like in terms of like there's fancier stuff and then not as fancy stuff, which is good. Yeah, my kids have always found things to eat there when we ate there.
Yeah, they've got several sides you can choose from: squash, green beans, sweet potatoes, French fries, and brown rice. So those are kind of your options there as far as that goes. So I'm kind of flying through these because it's a lot of information, and I just want to kind of hit the highlights for you guys. Cinderella's Royal Table is the nice thing about this one is that it's a really great atmosphere. And if you've got kiddos that really want to do princesses, you're like eating in the castle, so like that's super fun for them.
Yeah, that is.
It will run you 47 per child and 79 per adult. And very similar kind of options where they've got a seared fish, they've got chicken nuggets, they've got, again, a grilled beef tenderloin and mac and cheese for the kids. Less options for their side. They've got like a seasonal veggie, mashed potatoes, rice pilaf, and buttered corn on the cob.
And I believe at that one, at least this was when we went, you have to pay in advance for it.
I believe that is
like
correct.
When you book it, you have to pay for it. So it's really not the same as all the other dining reservations in that way. So just prepare yourself if you're going to book it to pay in advance.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so now let's talk about Crystal Palace, which is the third character dining option that you have. This is Winnie the Pooh and Friends. It will run you $59 per adult and $38 per child. So if you're looking at a price point and you want to do a character meal, Be Our Guest and Crystal Palace are going to be very similar in price, where that Cinderella's Royal Table is quite a bit more. But the nice thing about Crystal Palace is it is a buffet style.
Yeah.
So you do get lots of options.
I feel like that's really helpful for picky eaters because they get to have a lot of what they will eat, and you don't have to worry about like my son is like an only mac and cheese eater.
Yeah.
But sometimes when they give him mac and cheese, they'll give him like a little bowl of mac and cheese and like all these sides, and like he won't eat half of them.
He just wants,
wants
exactly.
a lot of the mac and cheese, which is so healthy. Great.
Right. So they have, so some of the offerings that they have on the buffet. Now, I will say that this is like full buffet for everyone. Some of the buffets, I believe, have like a kids area that's not on the website. So I haven't been to Crystal Palace for lunch or dinner, so I can't speak to exactly what they have for like specifically for kids, but I know some of the buffets have like a kids corner where it's like more kid friendly stuff. But they have seasonal salads, country fried chicken, seasonal vegetables, ravioli, mashed potatoes, prime rib, and shrimp creole. So that's kind of your options when you're looking at Crystal Palace. And again, they may have a specific kids menu buffet area from what I have heard with that one. Yeah. So those are kind of your character dining options. Of those, I would say that Crystal Palace is probably your best bet, because like Kate said, when they have one item or two items that they really, really like, they can keep going back and loading up on those options. So that's always helpful.
Oh yeah, the ice cream machine at Crystal Palace.
Thank you, Lindsay. I thought it did, but I didn't want to speak to it for certain because I couldn't find record of it on the Disney website.
I don't think we've been there since like 2020 was the last time we were in Crystal Palace. So,
and I've only done breakfast there. So,
okay.
And this was specifically talking more about like lunch, dinner. So, okay. So those are your three kind of character meal options, if that is what you're looking for. Now, non-character meals, we've got a couple different variations on what that looks like. We have two options in Magic Kingdom that are all you care to enjoy options. And I will say they are very, very, very similar in what they offer. So Diamond Horseshoe and Liberty Tree Tavern are both all you care to enjoy options that they have. They are both $21 per child, and they will, if my website will load, $39 per adult. Bye, Todd. So $39 per adult, $21 per child. And they have all you care to enjoy Frontier Feast at Diamond Horseshoe is what they're talking about. I know, Lem, I thought I was looking at the same menu earlier when I pulled them up. I was like, wait a minute. Didn't I just read?
Almost identical. It feels like it is.
So Diamond Horseshoe has a salad, and then they have their Saloon Feast, which is roasted turkey, pot roast, and oven roasted pork with mashed potatoes, seasonal vegetables, herbs, stuffing, and house-made mac and cheese. So that is what you're going to be getting.
Sounds the same.
That is what you're going to be getting at Diamond Horseshoe. If I go over to Liberty Tree Tavern, they have roasted turkey, pot roast, and oven roasted pork. roasted turkey, pot roast. Yep. So that's exactly the same. Mashed potatoes,
they
seasonal
share a
vegetables,
kitchen, don't
herbs,
they?
stuffing, and house-made mac and cheese. Yeah. So the basic offerings are the same. I didn't like one-to-one compare, and I should have. Their salads look the same. Yeah. So all right, let's see if
I always
there's,
thought they had the same menu. So, yeah.
yeah.
The
So
Diamond
the
Horseshoe
only,
does have different food in Disneyland. Just
yeah,
saying.
the only thing that I'm seeing that is different is it looks like Liberty Tree Tavern has, oh wait, here we go. Hold on. I might be wrong. They,
And the most important part is the sticky toffee pudding available in both, because that's all we really want to
the
know.
ooey gooey toffee cake, that one.
Yes.
Yes, it is available in both.
Say, I feel like they're the same menu.
So it's so weird. So the Diamond Horseshoe doesn't have gravy served with theirs. Isn't that so odd?
That is
like
weird.
as I'm literally going back and forth in between the two. And they have a few different like beverage options, it looks like.
Lem says back in the day, Diamond Horseshoe was like the high-end version of Liberty.
Yeah.
It
But it
changed
changed at
some
some
point.
point to
Yeah,
be the
I
same.
feel like when they reopened it for after the panini happened, it just is now the same thing.
Yeah,
It's almost like overflow for the
there-
Liberty
so-
Tree Tavern.
Yeah, so there are, thank you for the lightning bolts. So there are minor differences in the two. It just depends on if you want like, for example, at Liberty Tree Tavern, you're going to get the Patriots platter, and you're going to get the tavern salad. Where at the Horseshoe, you're going to get the saloon feast and the cowpoke salad. So
Just different branding, same
pick
food.
your choice. So like I said, almost identical. Again, it's an all you care to enjoy. So similar with a buffet, if there's something on that menu that you know your kiddo is going to eat, that would be a good bet for them.
Yeah.
So
Rick says Diamond used to have really good barbecue. And I feel like there used to be all kinds more barbecue in the parks. Like Disneyland used to have their, oh my gosh, what is it called? You used to be able to hear live music. It was like, I'm blanking on the name, but they used to have it was almost like a corral where you could go and eat barbecue, and it was amazing. It was quiet and peaceful, and there was live music, and I'm sad that it's gone now.
oh, sad day.
It's fine. All things must come to an end.
Those are the two all you care to enjoy restaurants, and like we
Thunder
said,
Ranch. Thank you, Rick. I did not remember Thunder Ranch. Big Thunder Ranch. That's what it was.
so those are your two options for that. Again, basically all the mac and cheese. Yes. So basically same menu, same price point. Pick your theming if one of those sounds good for your picky eater. That's a good point. Lindsay said Liberty Tree vegan options are delicious if you have a picky eater that is vegan or vegetarian. So that leaves us with 3 choices left. So we talked about the character options. We talked about those all you care to enjoy options. These options are all going to be priced based on what you order on your entree. So we have Skipper Canteen, the Plaza Restaurant, and Tony's Town Square. So as far as a picky eater goes, if we're looking at Skipper Canteen, you are going to be looking at, for the kids, around $11 to $14 per their entree.
It's more affordable
Yes.
than the other ones.
Their entrees for kids are a coconut curry, which is basically, it says pineapple, tofu, jasmine rice, and choice of 2 selections with like their typical the sides that they have. And then they have a mac and cheese, they have a grilled steak, and they have a crispy chicken. And then with their sides, they have broccoli, marbled potatoes, seasonal fruit, seasonal vegetables, jade rice blend, monkey banana bites, and a volcano cake. So those are your options at Skipper Canteen. As much as I love Skipper Canteen, it is not super friendly for picky eaters unless you know that they're going to like really the steak or the crispy chicken. Probably not your go-to for your picky eaters.
No, it's really good food.
Yeah.
It used to be better than it is now, honestly. But my kids did find things to eat because they like the chicken. They were good with the chicken. But it is different for kids. So not a great picky eater restaurant in general.
Yeah. And if you're looking for adult prices, an adult entree is going to run you anywhere from $28 to $38. So
What are marble potatoes? I think the mashed potatoes with like stuff mixed into it. I feel like it was what it was when I ate it. I'm trying to remember what was in it. Does it?
are they
Do
like,
you have a description?
I don't. It just says marble potatoes. Not helpful.
Probably just mashed
guess
potatoes. Like how they make up different names for different kinds of potatoes there. Like potato barrels or tater tots, you know.
Right. Right, exactly. So that's kind of your lowdown on Skipper Canteen. Again, probably not super friendly unless you know for sure your kids are going to like one of those options that they have. So let's talk about now, we've got two more restaurants to talk about. The Plaza restaurant, which I feel like is an often forgotten restaurant. Where like I had friends that went there recently and I was like, I don't even know where that is for sure at Magic Kingdom. So
Wait,
if you didn't know,
Okay. Sorry. I didn't know if you were talking about Tony's or...
Yeah, no, sorry. I may not be going in the order.
I wasn't paying attention, so it's my fault.
How dare you?
I was thinking about my meal at Skipper Canteen.
But the Plaza is kind of like if you're at the end of Main Street heading towards Tomorrowland Terrace area. It's like right to the right there. This, in my personal opinion, would be where I would take picky kids. Because this is an entree-based amount, again, like we talked about, and this is going to range you anywhere from 10 to 12 per entree for kiddos. For adults, you're looking 20 to 25 for the entrees. But your kids menu here is hamburger, PB&J, grilled chicken strips, and a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So I feel like...
food.
Very, very friendly. And then they've got a decent, sides list. I was like, what am I talking about? Sides list. They've got seasonal vegetables, mashed potatoes, fresh fruit, sliced apples. They've got a Mickey-lodeon, which I don't know what that is, and I didn't look it up, and I should have, but there's that. And a mint chocolate chip cookies and milk for the kids. So
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it says Mickey,
is.
like Mickey Lodeon, Lodeon. So if anyone knows what that is.
I know what a Nickelodeon is, so it's interesting what a Mickey-lodeon is.
I know. So again, and they've got a nice little like appetizer thing where they've got some soup, apples, grapes, or a garden salad with ranch that are all $3 a piece for your kids' portion. So like pricing wise, that's a really good price. And they've got a decent menu for adults depending on your preference. Just to kind of give you an idea, they've got homestyle meatloaf, they've got an Impossible burger, they've got a Reuben, a chicken sandwich, and sirloin steak salad for adults. So some different options there as well. But like I said, that would be my personal choice when I was looking at all the menus for picky kiddos. The Nickelodeon is an ice cream dish. Thank you, Jackson.
Thanks,
I appreciate that because I was like, I don't know what that is. The last one is Tony's Town Square.
Which Kirk is yelling in the chat about how it's underrated, like usual. And he said, Mel and I like the sausage pasta dish and the breadsticks. So he likes the newer menu they have there.
So for kiddos at Tony's Town Square, you're going to be looking at $11 to $12 per entree. For adults, you're going to be looking at anywhere from 32 down to 26 per person. But for your kiddos here, they've got a grilled chicken with roasted potatoes, they've got a mac and cheese, and they've got a whole wheat spaghetti and turkey meatball. So if you know your kiddos like spaghetti, mac and cheese, and chicken, this would be a good option for them as well. So again, they have very similar sides, green beans and carrots, sliced apples, fruit cup. They've got a gelato sundae here, or a cupcake, grapes, and buttered noodles. The adult entree, they've got quite a good amount of different pasta options. So they've got spaghetti and meatballs, they've got a shrimp scampi, chicken parmigiana. I'm not Italian. They've got, a spicy Italian sausage with pasta. They've got a sustainable fish. They've got spaghetti with Impossible meatballs. So they've got fettuccine Alfredo,
And with pasta too, sometimes often order just the noodles plain, like if your child's super picky about sauces and things like that. So
And they do have a
that's
buttered
helpful.
noodles as a side for on the kids menu as well. So if you just want
Right.
buttered noodles, that's an option that you could get as well. So if you are a family that likes Italian, likes the pasta, that kind of thing, that would be a really good option for kiddos. And the price point is fairly reasonable, all things considered. So long story short, after all of that, after looking at menus and prices, my suggestions would be the Plaza or Tony's for your picky kiddo.
The Plaza or Tony's, yeah. And I would throw in the Crystal Palace too, in terms of because it's a buffet and you can get a character one. But you're just talking specifically for like no character dining, no.
It didn't specify, so it just
Okay.
depends on what price point you're looking at.
Right.
You know, if you want to spend a little bit extra for the buffet and the characters.
Kirk says his only gripe is you have to split the entrees at Tony's because they have huge portions.
Okay. Plaza
I
is way
like that.
too
I'll just do that. I'll split it with my family.
right. Plaza is way too tiny for families. It's crowded and loud and small. And I've never been in there,
I
so
agree.
I totally,
Yeah.
you know, I will defer to anyone who has. But again, just looking at menu options, prices, that's kind of what I found.
We ate there in the Plaza with my family, and we ate for lunch, and it wasn't too bad at lunchtime when it wasn't quite as busy and hectic outside with like fireworks and crowds and stuff like that. So
Right.
we liked it. It wasn't like, oh man, we have to come back here though.
Yeah.
It was like it was fine. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
That's fair.
Tony's for picky kiddos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Becca asked, what's my favorite park, specifically to me? And I feel like if I'm talking Disney World, my favorite park will always be Magic Kingdom because it's the most like Disneyland, which is my favorite park overall. So easy peasy for that. And is yours is the same, right? Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, Magic Kingdom.
Dalen asked, character dining for a 1-year-old for their birthday. What would we recommend? I feel like 1-year-olds are not that picky necessarily.
So we took my kiddo, my oldest, when he was about 18 months to Chef Mickey's. We had a great character experience, but I personally do not recommend Chef Mickey's because I feel like the food quality has gone very downhill in my experience. So it could be very hit or miss with that.
So as long as you don't expect great food,
Yeah.
then Chef Mickey.
Yeah, and we had an amazing character experience with them. And my kiddo, like I said, he was like 20 months when we went, and he was very, very leery of the characters, and he sat on my husband's lap, and they were so amazing to him. And the overall experience was great. The food was not. So I think that's one that I love, but I also am partial to Crystal Palace because I just love for littles doing the Pooh Bear meet and greet, and I think it's so fun getting to meet all of those characters. So that Crystal
They
Palace
do the little
would
like.
be.
Do they still do the little parade that they always do?
No,
Like,
I haven't been
I haven't
since they
done it
reopened. But I would say that for my suggestion, without knowing like what characters they like and that kind of thing, would be to do Crystal Palace and do Pooh Bear.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun, especially if they had the little parade because they have like special music and everybody claps and then like all the kids can join the parade with the characters, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then like if you're looking for like Disney Junior characters, there's always the Hollywood and Vine breakfast that they do over at Hollywood Studios that has the Disney Junior characters. So that's going to be some more old school Disney Junior characters that maybe your 1-year-old may or may not watch, depending on that. Because it's like Fancy Nancy, Vampirina, Doc McStuffins, which like are not even currently on Disney Junior that often.
that is weird. Why don't they update them?
I don't know. They've needed to be updated for a while, but it is. So
That makes me sad that like those are not on it anymore because those are like characters my kids like to watch.
I know.
Like, characters that graduated.
My
out of
kids
Disney
hit like the
Junior.
tail end of those, and my kids are 4 and 6, so like they hit the tail end of that kind of. I've seen a couple people recommend Cape May.
I haven't done that one. That sounds
And
like a
then
good
someone
option.
else recommended Ohana. Dalen, if you want a more personalized answer, send us a message so that we can get some more info from you and help you with planning for that. Okay, we got a question in the chat. What is the best Disney resort during the Christmas season? I feel like that's such a personalized question. All of the Disney resorts are going to have some sort of Christmas tree in the lobby. So if you're just looking for those kinds of basic decorations, that's what you're going to get. If you're looking for elaborate decorations, I mean, the Grand Floridian has the massive gingerbread house that they put.
Smells so good.
Yeah. In the lobby.
It's under renovation right now, though. The Grand Floridian, right? The lobby that I
believe you're right.
Renovations for it.
Yes.
So
I agree, Allie. I feel like the Wilderness Lodge feels like a vibe at Christmas time. So a resort that you can walk to Epcot.
Oh, the Grand Californian is really beautiful at Christmas time. We've stayed there during Christmas time, and it's lovely.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wanting one that you can walk to Epcot, you're looking at Yacht Club, Beach Club, Boardwalk would be your closest. Lindsay says Boardwalk. Oh yeah, Jeff, you're right. The Beach Club has the carousel.
The carousel
with the gingerbread. That's true. Pretty much, I mean, any of those. It's hard. I feel like because there's so many good things about each one. So while you may want the Christmas decor, I would also look at other amenities that you're going to want to help you kind of make that decision, because a lot of those are within walking distance of each other. So you could always walk over to one and visit the lobby if you're wanting to look at those, all the Christmas decorations and stuff.
Yeah, truthfully, I would just pick a resort that you love overall. And then if you really want to get into the Christmas stuff, you can do a little resort tour of some of the other lobbies, like the gingerbread houses and the carousel and things like that. Because I feel like they're all kind of equal in their decorations, except for the ones that have big gingerbread displays.
Right, right. And if you're looking for more info on what Disney has done for Christmas, we actually did a whole episode on Christmas at Disney way back in December for this past Christmas. So take a listen to that, because that will maybe give you an idea of what different places had to offer and may help you make those decisions as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple other questions that came in on our Discord. So let's hop over to that and see. So our friend Allie Beth asked for advice on booking overseas parks and any resources for that. So Kate, I don't know if you want to just briefly mention kind of like how you ended up booking stuff, if you did it yourself, if you went through a travel agent, that kind of stuff. And then I can talk about other stuff that I found kind of.
Yeah, so I am headed to Disneyland Paris this year, and it's very similar to how you book in the US. They have a website. That's usually how I book. You can always go use a travel agent if you feel more comfortable with that. I just do it myself because I plan stuff for myself. But they have a website, but it is a little bit different for Disneyland Paris, as in when you book an on-site property, you have to book they kind of just like include tickets as part of the package at the same time. And you really that's how many tickets you get. You're not going to choose like in the US parks, you can say like, oh, I only want tickets for like 2 days, or I only want tickets for like, a couple of the days of my trip. And like, no, it just comes prepackaged. You're staying for 4 days, you get a 5-day park hopper ticket. Like, I think you can choose between park hopper and one park per day, but I'm trying to remember. I'd have to look that up. But it is pretty similar. The language is a little bit different. It's a little bit more like UK English. So you can also have the option of adding like a dining plan onto it. So it's a little bit different than the dining plans they'd offer in the US. So you can look up that. But it does also, you can eat at some of your hotels with them as well. So it's also optional. You don't have to get the dining plan, but you do have to get the tickets when you're booking your hotel. Well, I think you can book the hotel on its own, but you can't book I swear I know what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is if you're going to add tickets to it, you don't get to choose how many tickets for how many days. That's all. So it's very, very easy. I booked ours on using that. There's only there's a fair amount of hotels there, and having too many hotels is one of the reasons they almost went bankrupt with Disneyland Paris. A little history side note in there. And some of them are more renovated than others. They just renovated the Marvel Hotel, which used to be like the New York kind of themed one.
Yes, I see
I'm trying
that.
to not give all the history with it, so I'm just like stick to the facts, Kate. So
Yeah,
that one
so
actually is pretty spendy, but it is a really nice hotel. And then they also have two that are themed like the Old West because they did a lot of research and figured out that people in Europe really are obsessed with the Old West. So we've got two.
yeah.
One is more like Cars-ish themed, and one is more Toy Story themed. I think the Cheyenne is more Toy Story themed. It is more kind of like 66.
Yeah.
And then they have the Sequoia one, which is a little bit like the Wilderness Lodge. The Newport Bay is it's kind of like beach club, yacht club. But both I've heard the Sequoia and the Newport. I did a lot of research on these hotels, and they have not been renovated in a really long time. So there's a lot of really low ratings for them. It seems like there's been some just like cosmetic updates for the Santa Fe and the Cheyenne, and also the Crockett Ranch one too. Like they've got some okay reviews, but that one did not include transportation to
Yeah,
the resort.
I see that, which is, yeah,
And I was like,
that's a game
not
changer.
win.
Right. So yeah,
So-
basically what I found when I was looking is the websites feel very similar to what you're going to be used to with, any of the other websites that you're used to with Disney, Disneyland, Disney World. They do have a really great, like before you arrive, they show you like, how to get here. They talk about their app. They talk about accessibility, maps. You can do all of that kind of stuff beforehand. So they do have a lot of information really on their website, which is helpful. So that would be where I would start if you were someone who is looking to do and overseas, and that counts for not just Disneyland Paris. That's any of the overseas parks as well. I just happened to pull up Disneyland Paris because I knew that Kate was going to probably talk about different things related to it. So I had that one ready to go. So I would start there. As far as that goes, experienced travel agents that have done overseas before, and I would stress to say experienced because there are little things about traveling overseas that you may just not realize. And so having someone who has booked overseas for you before is super helpful, or even going to like AAA or one of those types of places to kind of get a lay for what you're doing and do your research. And even if that's just, Disney blogs, Disney guidebooks, social media, we live in the world where you can find lives at the Disney parks on TikTok over in Disneyland Paris, so doing those kinds of things and just taking in that content and trying to kind of get your lay of the land and figuring that out. You can also look to do things like the cruises, like Kate is getting to Europe doing a cruise. Sort of. Cruising whilst in the area. So doing something like that as well could maybe get you to closer to where you need to go or where you're looking to go. I will say that Disney does not offer cruises if you're looking like Shanghai or Tokyo. There are no Disney cruises that go up in that realm. So if you're looking to pair a cruise with a park, I would look Europe for Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
will
like
just
ours is leaving from we chose the one that leaves is a Northern European one because the port is from London. And London, you can easily take the channel and go over to Paris. It's not that far on the
Right.
train. So that's why we picked that instead of Italy, because it would have taken a lot farther to go anywhere.
Right, exactly. And I will just mention that I happen to see on the website that if you are a DVC member, you actually get early access to cruise bookings. So fun fact for anyone who might be looking into doing something like that. The other thing that you can look at if you're looking to kind of be over in that area is they do Adventures by Disney. Those are a lot more expensive kind of excursion trips that do not include parks, but like I mentioned, could get you closer to the parks that you're wanting to visit. So looking at those two things would be an option as well. But like I said, really just using the websites for whatever park you're wanting to visit or parks you're wanting to visit. And really just finding a travel agent or someone who knows a lot about traveling overseas to really help you figure that out. I know even when I was looking into doing more just Disney World travel, I read, I think, 4 or 5 different guidebooks of the parks just to see like, okay, who's saying what and are they saying the same things and not, you can kind of get a feel for what is trusted information if you see it in multiple sources. So
do we know if the menu for food and wine is out yet?
I have not seen it. I do not believe it is
either.
available yet. My guess is it'll be another 2 weeks before we see it at least. Because Food and Wine Flower and Garden runs through July 5th, I believe, and Food and Wine doesn't start until the what is it, Kate? Because you're there during the start of Food and Wine, right?
27th?
That sounds right. 26th, 27th, somewhere in that.
So 27th.
I would be surprised if we get it before Flower and Garden ends. They have been very late on their menu releases recently, where it's been like within the week before the festival starts. Watch now, they'll like come out tomorrow and I'll have to eat my words, but So my guess is probably it'll be another couple weeks before we see those menus.
Was a refurb scheduled? Do we know what they're going to refurb in 2024? And the answer is no, not really. We do know a couple things that are closed through 2024 or are not opened yet from when they did close a long time ago. And my favorite resource for that is usually Touring Plans has a really fabulous kind of schedule that they update very regularly, and it does give you I'm kind of it's going to be backwards for you, but they give you per park or resort or whatever, and then it'll tell you when it closed or closes, is going to close, and when it is planned to reopen in the future, if it is. And then they have a wonderful list at the bottom too of like recently permanently closed attractions. So if you haven't been there in a while and you're like, where is this? You can look on there and like, oh, this is when it closed.
So the last two questions that we had on Discord are kind of linked. So Kristen asked advice for out-of-state annual pass holders traveling with non-annual pass holders and staying on property. So I actually just recently did this when I went with our good friend Becca. She is an annual pass holder. I am not. And really there was nothing major that changed on the trip. We just planned our days accordingly how we wanted to. Have your annual pass holder pay for your meals so you get a discount. Not all of them, just the places that have discounts.
Yeah.
And really the biggest question is the tickets and kind of what your plan is to do with the tickets. But Kate, you have a little insight on booking as an annual pass holder with a non-annual pass holder traveling with you, and how that kind of works out.
Fairly often with my family or with my husband. He's not an annual pass holder anymore. And so if you're going to book like an AP discounted room, you can book that and you can include the other person in your room, but you don't have the option to buy any tickets when you check out or a package. You can't buy tickets. You can't buy a package. You're just buying the room only reservation. Go check out, and then you can go back and just buy a single ticket for that person for however many days and hoppers or whatever you need for that person. I usually get a hopper because if they're traveling with an AP, the AP can hop, and it's a bummer to not be able to hop with them. But you can buy your individual ticket for them or for how many people you have in your room that are not AP. And then if you can select who it is when you're doing it, and then it'll automatically link to your account that way, just because you have to put in the person when you purchase it. So I looked at, I was like, is it possible to get a package as an AP? Like if you're going with somebody who has the package, who has all of their tickets, can they add in an AP into your room? And like the answer is no, technically, because you have to book it room only and then buy tickets separately. And then you can include your AP person in your room. The package, Disney's official thing was like, oh, well, you can always buy a ticket for that AP and then they can use the value of it towards their annual pass renewal later. And I was like, don't do that, friends. No, that's bad advice.
And really, honestly, there very rarely is there a reason for you to need to book a package. Typically, if you're booking as an AP, you're going to be getting a similar deal anyway on a room only reservation. So for those of you who don't know, if you book a package, which a package would be room and tickets at the same time, that's a package, regardless of what it looks like on your end. That's a package when you book them both at the same time. Everybody under your package has to have the same thing. That's the Disney requirement. So if you are booking, like if I book, because I'm not an AP, if I book a room for 4 days and I have a 3-day hopper ticket, anyone else that is included in that with me has to have the same kind of ticket and the same amount of days and the hopper and all that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. If you're booking with someone who's an AP, you're going to have to do that room only reservation and then add your tickets on later. Same thing happens for, like, saw people talking about cast members. If you've got cast member friends, I did this previously when my best friend was a cast member. We would book room only and then do just a second purchase for our tickets. It doesn't change the ticket price. It doesn't change the room price unless, like I said, on the very rare occasion that there's like package deals that they're running.
Yeah. And it's not that big a deal. Like, nothing changes in terms of like the logistics of your vacation. It's a bummer if you wanted to do like the mini golf and stuff that comes with the package or something, but honestly, it really doesn't change that much of the logistics of your vacation. And your annual pass holder friend can also get you discounts on merch and dining. So make a friend with a pass holder.
I ran a few numbers just to like give an overview, depending on how long you're staying. If you're staying like 3 days, and if you're going from a base ticket to a park hopper ticket, you're going to be adding an average of $75 to $80 overall. If you're looking 4 or 5 days going from a base ticket to a park hopper ticket, you're going to be adding $85 to $90 overall.
90 days.
I know.
Stay there for a long time.
So it averages out to be anywhere from $18 per day to $25 per day, depending on how many days you're doing it. So like Kate said, it is better if you're traveling with an AP and you're not an AP, if you can afford to do those park hopper days, just because then that helps all of you get the most out of your trip. So that way you're not kind of confined, so to speak. But if your annual pass holder is like, I don't care, let's just do 1 park per day, well then go with your base ticket amount. And that's really easy to look up on the website. If that's something that you're like wanting to price compare. It took me all of 5 minutes to run all of those numbers for 3 sets of tickets for 3, because I looked at a couple different dates to get an average too, and it took me 5 minutes. So
you're so thorough in your research. I appreciate that.
Just trying to give the full, thorough answer for our wonderful viewers.
Great. Court asked, would we pick Crystal Palace or Chef Mickey's for breakfast with toddlers?
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace. We kind of talked about this earlier, this Q&A session, that Chef Mickey's just doesn't have very great food. So at least if you're going to Crystal Palace, not only do you get really adorable Winnie the Pooh character interaction, but you get a buffet with choices for everybody and pretty decent food too. So
yeah,
and you're in the parks. I like being in the parks.
Yeah, and I would say, like, if you've got early risers, try to get like a super early reservation. That way you're like in early and done before you miss out on too much of your morning at Magic Kingdom. But that's just my preference.
Yeah, and you can get a lot of pictures with not many people in the parks with the castle and things like that too. That's always really nice to have those early morning pictures with hardly anybody behind you. It's always great. Yeah. Otherwise you get a million people in your photo. Special events, better at Disneyland or Disney World? I mean, part of it's personal preference, but I think Disneyland are better, just personally. They have a lot more of them.
A lot more of them. And I feel like better characters. Like every time I see parties happening at both for like Halloween and Christmas, it's always better characters at Disneyland, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, they had Coco, they had, what's his name? The
Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yeah, and like Oogie Boogie, like singing, like a concert with them. Like that's a thing. And so, and Disneyland has a lot of extra events, like May saying Pride Night. They had the one that I went to, which was the throwback night, so it's like a vintage feel. Like they don't do any of that in Disney World, unfortunately. So hopefully eventually Star Wars night and then Oogie Boogie Bash. Yeah. So there's just more of them, and they are you get a little bit more bang for your buck, I think. They get special music, they get special characters. It's like in Vintage Night, they had Mr. Tom Morrow, and they had the parents from the Carousel of Progress. Like, where else are you ever going to see that? So
yeah, well, and like Pride Night had the Muses, which was super cool.
Yeah,
like
that
just
was
other
neat.
things that you just don't see them.
and special fireworks shows for those too.
Yeah. And you've always got to remember that, and we've talked about this before in previous episodes and previous topics, that like Disney World and Disneyland play to very different audiences. So you get more of that in Disneyland because they're playing to their locals, and they feel like they have to do these events to continue the interest in the park and to continue people coming. Where at Disney World, it's so much more of a tourist destination that they can just have their standard offerings and still be, still have bookings and still have people in the parks and all that kind of stuff. So very, very different when it comes to that type of thing.
I honestly am shocked that Disney World doesn't do more of these things, because it's almost like money on the table that they're leaving behind. Because people would clamor for specialized events that are specific things.
We talked last week about the Jollywood nights that are coming at Christmas time at Hollywood Studios,
Maybe they're stepping it up.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that maybe that'll start, and even if it's just a few this year and then a few more the next year, I feel like they're moving in that direction. So fingers crossed that maybe we'll either get some of the stuff back, because like Disney World used to do Star Wars weekends, and they used to do, different stuff like that. So it's like, hopefully we're getting more towards that again, and they'll start to do more of that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and joining us for this Q&A. Next week, we will be back with a topic for the podcast. Not sure which topic we're going to hit yet. We will let you know.
It will be great.
After Kate gets done with all of her Disneyland excursion, we will let you guys know that in Discord. And have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys. See ya.